I love the way today's guest is going to share with us a tip on how to communicate with your kids and maybe their spouses, and just to really build that family unity and to build that encouragement and your knowledge. So let's see what she has to say.
Building spirituality, family, health, and business. This is the Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.
Hey, Giant Builders, before I introduce Tammy, I want to remind you that we have a media page, thegiantbuilders.com/media, and you will find the book links to all of our speakers. And today we're actually going to give away one of Tammy's books. So make sure that you are following us on our social media and our YouTube channel so that you can have a chance to win some books. All right, let's meet Tammy. Happy Tuesday, Giant Builders. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Our guest today is Tammy Cohen. Hi, Tammy. How are you?
Hello, Lois. How are you?
I'm fine. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Okay. Basically, I do a bunch of different things. I've been lucky in that effect that I've kind of gone all over the place. But my business is brand consulting, brand messaging consultant, where I help brands, especially mostly in the gem and jewelry space, but it's kind of expanded a bit to dig deep and find their core mission, their values, their vision, and put it out there and put it down so that they could share it and express it to their audience, and also hopefully message enough to get noticed, the right kind of messages that appeal to their audience. So that's one thing I do. I founded a women's business network called Women Beyond the Table. We're lucky in that we're growing, and it's about 3.5 years now. The women are business owners, entrepreneurs, women who are basically took their side hustle and went with it. So they're figuring it out, and we figure it out together. We help each other. We're a community. It's global now, Women Beyond the Table. We started a podcast about 2 years ago called Beyond the Table Podcast, where we interview women who are achieving really cool things, but they have a very authentic story. They've had challenges. They went out on their own. They're a one-woman show. They have a small business. Some of them have grown into much larger businesses. So we show other women in the audience that you can do it, go for it. And then one of the titles that I'm really proud of is that I became an author. I wrote a book called Text Messages to My Sons, Connecting Deeply in a World of Devices. So the one common, I think, theme amongst everything is connection. Connecting an audience to a brand or to a personal brand, connecting women, with each other. On the podcast, connecting women to an audience, and of course with the book, connecting us to our loved ones, to our children in a different way, in a deeper way. So yeah, I think that's what I am, as a connector.
Oh, a connector.
Long story short.
I do like that.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, tell me a little bit more about your women's networking group. Like, how do you meet? When do you meet? What do you do?
Sure. So basically, it's virtual because the women are spread out. We have quite a few in the Northeast, but it's across the U.S. We're in Canada, also Europe, and then there's a couple of places in between that we are that one person here, one person there, like in Honduras, India, things like that. So it's very exciting. So we meet once a month virtually, and we bring a speaker every month. So a topic is presented that can educate the women. It's a business topic or health and wellness, because we call ourselves a business network with a soul. We don't feel that you can, be okay and run and do business and work and not be okay up here. It's your mindset and taking care of yourself. So we try to integrate that. So we have, we'll alternate. We'll have a health and wellness topic presentation, a person who's expert in an area there, and then we'll bring a business expert, whether it's in social media or AI or scaling your business or marketing, whatever that topic is. Mm-hmm. So we tend to ask our women in the group to present, because it gives them an opportunity to build that skill. but we also bring outside speakers. That's one of the things we do. Another thing that we do is our podcast is we invite a woman from our group to share their story. On our website, we actually take our members, we encourage them with their articles and their blogs to let us post it as well on the website. We backlink to them, so that's very helpful. Yeah. We have in-person events as well that we do. So we try to, give them a really well-rounded base. We have a WhatsApp group that's real time. So all of their offers, all of their mindset workshops, masterminds, whatever they're doing, their courses, they can share their offers. We also have a newsletter that goes out twice a month where we promote our members. We share what was on the call we have about 500 people now on our newsletter. We, offer tips, and we have Meg's Corner. We try to give value. We're always trying to give value and give a helpful hint or tip or tool to our women and to women out there. So that's pretty much how the group works. So we all come together monthly. And when we have an in-person event, we just had our first in-person lunch in Florida. So that was really exciting in Boca. So, we're just going along and figuring it out as we go. And it's just a great community of women who are non-competitive, non-judgmental. So it's a safe space. And I think it's really about leveraging social capital. We exchange services because you want to work with somebody you like and trust. Mm-hmm. But it's also, I need help with something. I have a question. I don't know the answer. Somebody will know the answer in the group, or they'll know somebody who they can connect you to will know the answer. And also, eventually, by this kind of connection and networking, you can expand your business and you can get those answers in a non-judgmental way. You can run an idea by somebody. It's a safe space. You don't have to worry they're going to steal that idea and pass it someplace else. It doesn't work like that. We're really a community of supportive women. And I think that's what makes us wonderful.
Oh, that's so great. All right. So we'll have links for that below. So, all right. Tell me about your book.
Text messages to my sons. Okay. That's really just started as something. I never had an intention, Lois, to write a book. It never was in my thought. What I wanted to do a couple of years ago was to change conversation that I have with my sons. I have 3 sons. They're now 30, 28, and 23. So when I started a couple of years ago, they were mostly in their 20s, and my youngest was in college, I would say, or coming out of college. And the thing is that I realized that every message I'd ever sent to them was always a reprimand, a command, or a reminder. And that wasn't really how I wanted to communicate, because nobody's having in-person conversations. I mean, I own a restaurant on the Upper East Side of Manhattan with my husband. And you know what? People sit there and they're on their phones at the table. Like, nobody's talking. And I don't believe devices are good or bad. I don't think phones or, laptops or anything is a bad thing. It's the messages, it's the content that matters. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but there's just too much hate and violence and propaganda and indoctrination and misinformation, being thrown out 24/7 at our kids, at our loved ones, at us, because we're all kind of hooked into this device, these algorithms that are like programmed 24/7 to just engage you any way they can. I read Stolen Focus recently, and I was just like, oh my gosh, now I understand my mission. And my mission with now, after releasing the book and sharing the messages that I've sent to my sons, changed my relationship with them, that anybody can do this. It just takes a couple of minutes a day to send that message of inspiration, love, accountability, share knowledge. So for me, what I did was every message, that starts with, it's always good morning, sunshine. And each of my sons gets a message. And I end it with how much I love them. That I want them to know they're extraordinary. They're worthy. It doesn't matter how many likes or followers you have. You are a worthy human being, okay? You are capable of great things. You're a limitless being. And we're big believers in God in my family as well. So I bring that in. But also, accountability, like sharing who I am, because I want them to see me as a human being, not just mom. I'm a human being. I've made mistakes. Let me share my mistakes with you. Let me tell you that when I would yell at you or anything that I did, it wasn't you. It was me. I wasn't in a good headspace. I wasn't in the right mind. I wasn't. I wasn't a happy person. And I grew up with my own origin story. What happened was they saw me as somebody who was vulnerable, that I didn't just look at them and say, look, I'm the grown up. I tell you how it is. You listen to me. I know. No, I'm like, let's build trust. You have to trust me, and we have to trust each other. So I'm going to share about myself. I'm going to tell you things. Okay. We're not best friends, but I wanted them to see me as a human being. And then, of course, I wanted to share knowledge with them. Lois, I mean, I was going through a phase where I was learning so much because I wanted to develop myself personally and grow. And I realized I was stuck. I was stuck. So, there are so many luminaries and great thinkers. Not now, not AI, LinkedIn. I'm talking about people who lived years ago, who wrote unbelievable works that took them 30, 40 years of research and thought process to get to, and they're sharing it with you. So I was like, oh, I want to share this with my sons. It's such cool stuff I'm learning. So that's the genesis of it. And what happened was, over time, I had hundreds of messages. And when I was sharing this with like friends and colleagues, oh, this is what I do with my kids, they're like, wow, that's amazing. You should put it in a book. And I was just like, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. So I don't figure that out. But the book came out. And then, what started happening was I realized, especially after October 7th, and then after reading Stolen Focus and other books by Johann Hari, I recommend it. I just said, wow, I realized that I was compelled by God to write this because this is a mission. And I could spread it at this movement. Each one of us, one person, just send a message to your kids, your loved one, your spouse, whoever it is. But it has to be continuous. It has to be regular. You can't just do it here and there. Like I do it Monday through Friday, and I haven't stopped. Even though the book came out, that was, messages for 2 years in a row. But I've been messaging continually. So I have hundreds of more messages. But you don't stop, because my kids wrote the foreword to the book because they wanted to share what it means to them to get this, to know that somebody loves them enough, cares enough, and thinks they're that worthwhile to even do this every day. And you can't go into this, Lois, with any expectations. Like they're going to answer you, they're going to tell you, mommy, I love you, or you're the best. No, it's not about that. You're there to share light and to share love. You're there to build this trust, and you're there to bring this inspiration to their lives. And they take it in. They might not answer, but they take it in. And my kids told me it makes them feel bulletproof. So the day could go sideways, but if they're bulletproof because they know somebody cares that much. And you know what? It's not expected from us. Nothing's expected as a parent that you do these things. We all say, oh, I love you to my kids. We all say you're great. But when you take the time to actually put together a message and send it with thought and realness and authenticity, they notice and they do respond. Not in the guys, they're not sending me big messages. They're just like sending great message, love you, or a heart or something. And if they don't respond, it's okay, because I know I got it to them. I really believe that the day that I leave this earth, my kids are going to look at those messages and they're going to miss those messages more than anything, more than whatever I bought or whatever I gave them or whatever I said. It's going to be the messages. So that was my whole thing for this book that came out. But I started writing those messages just to connect it differently with them. They're older, and it's never too late.
So when you started, all right, so let me clarify. So you text each son individually. It's not like a group text.
No, it's not group, it's individual.
Okay, so it's each one individually. Okay. So when you just started, did you just start texting him, or did you give an explanation like, hey, I'm going to send you a daily text, or did you just start doing it?
That's a really good question. People ask me like, well, how do I do this? I want to do this.
How do you
What do I do? I'm not a message writer. I don't know how to. I'm like, don't overthink it. First of all, the book has hundreds of messages. You can look through it. There's 10 chapters, and each chapter has a title like mindfulness and gratitude, leadership. So you can skip around, you can look at that, you can make a message your own. Everything is cited. So the quotes are all cited. We have citation pages. So I made it easy. But the thing is how did I start? Just said, one day I said, oh, I'm going to start doing this. And I sent them a message and I was like, I just want you to know I love you. And I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to send you a message every day. And you know what? It evolved. It just started evolving because I would read something and I'd be so excited about it. I want to share them. But it was always the I love you. You're amazing.
Mhm.
And you see in the book, the book is written completely in text message format. It's the first book ever put into that kind of format. It's all text messages. And at the end of every chapter, there's lines for you to try your own message. And my husband, and English is like his fourth language, he read it in 2 weekends, 2 Saturdays. He was just like, wow, that was so easy to read. And it was really inspiring. And I didn't know you felt that way. Like, like I didn't even know that you felt you had those feelings because I now I read the messages I know. And I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, like I bared my soul to them in a lot of ways. But it's so easy. Like I just made it, just put it out there. And then over time, I started evolving it where now I have good morning sunshine and there's the sunshine emoji. So the messages have the sunshine emoji. And that came from the song You On My Sunshine. And then
Mhm.
at the end, when I'm telling them how much I love them from this life to the last life, across the galaxies to the moon, I use different ways of expressing love. I have 3 heart emojis. So when you read the book, it's text messages. There's the finger pointing when the message continues. There's a sun emoji. There's a heart emoji. That's it. Otherwise, it's just messages.
Mhm.
There's no character development. It's not that kind of story. You can jump around. You don't have to worry that you're not, you have to go chapter by chapter because you miss something. It's not like that. I made it really simple. It is simple. I don't want it to be hard. I think everybody can do this. And I think we can really get this light and love out to our kids at least. And then they'll share it maybe with their friends who's going through some hard
Mhm.
times, or they'll with their kids. And we'll start a movement because right now, what is the opposite? What is going on? It's
Yeah.
it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, the content that's out there. Really.
So the topics of your messages, how do you come up with them? Are they based on things that are going on in their life, or how do you find those topics?
Well, it's really interesting because, I just kind of, I don't know, I feel that if I've read something interesting, and I'm always trying to read, I share that. But it also just comes from day-to-day living and trying to be more present, like noticing things that I never really noticed before that I'll share with them, or an experience that I had, like, oh, I was out and I was at the doctor's office and, there was a long line. And normally I would be like, why is there a long line? And I'm losing my patience. But then I thought and I calmed down and I breathed. And you know what? I realized, like, and I'll share with them this whole thing and they're like that you don't have to lose your patience, that you
Mhm.
don't have to be the New Yorker, or I'll talk about failure and how there is no failure, and I'll share something from my life that didn't work out. That's not working, but it's not a failure. It's a learning experience. Things just come to you because if you stay a little bit present in your day and you're not just like thinking for the next minute and the next and here and your mind's not all over the place, if you just stay present, there's so many beautiful things that you can see, walking or notice, especially with nature or just anything. And you could just bring it in. It doesn't have to be like my messages tend to be on the longer side. It doesn't have to be that. It can be 2 or 3 sentences of something inspiring. Sometimes, there were some days, Lois, that I saw an amazing, beautiful quote, and I just put it in there and said, "Isn't this beautiful?
Mhm.
This is what I think it means. What do you think it means?"
Oh,
Something
that's
simple.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. So the future thinking of me here is, okay, are any of your kids married yet?
No.
Okay. So do you think once they're married, that will change things for you? Like, okay, not like will it change your message, but do you think you'll then text message their spouse? What do you
If she
think?
wants me to, if the spouse wants me to, I will. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's funny. I want to continue this to my sons as long as I can continue this.
Mhm.
And I want to do it for my grandchildren one day. I want to send them messages of love too. I mean, clearly it's when you get the phone because it's through the
Right.
phone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've seen very young kids with iPhones, which shocks me. My kids are older, right? So we didn't even get them a phone until they started walking home from school on their own. That was in my day, when their day, it was like 12, 13.
Okay.
Now kids are walking home, maybe younger. But also, so like it's a little bit different, but I think the minute you give a kid a phone, you could start this with them. I don't think you have to wait till they're older. I actually know that there's, between 18 to 30-year-olds, there's a lot of literature coming in, a lot of studies that they're going through a very hard time. There's depression, there's addiction, there's disconnection, there's anger, there's a lot of things going on. And this age group was always considered, well, you're an adult, like figure it out. But it's not so easy. But I think you could start anytime that kid has a phone. So yes, I would love to continue with with my sons. And yes, I would love to bring their spouses in if that's something they're comfortable with. But I would definitely do it with my grandchildren. And you know what? I would hope my kids would do it with their children as soon as they're ready, to receive those messages. That's the whole goal, right? Remember the Well of Balsam commercial? Like you tell two friends and so on and so on. Like I'm hoping that you just spread it out. It just spreads itself out.
This seems like a more of a like burying your soul type of thing. I mean, these are your personal text messages to your sons. What made you decide, okay, I want to put this in a book? I mean,
I was encouraged to.
okay.
Like I said, I never set out to write a book. I never thought about a book because I didn't even know how that happens. How do you self-publish? I just didn't know what to do. It was just starting there, but enough people were like, you should put it into a book. And people started telling me, friends, that they're trying it with their kids and they feel like it's less tense between them.
Oh,
Because your kids do go through a stage, when they get hormonal, they start, their peers are more important, everything else is more important, and you're not like the it person in their life anymore. That they don't want to be with you all the time. As a matter of fact, they want to be with their friends. So they started with kids, teenagers and stuff, and they felt that it was less tense. And I had a couple of friends who said, my daughter reacted really well. My son's like, don't even do this with me. And I was like, it doesn't matter. You do it. Doesn't matter. Don't expect anything if they don't tell me that they love these messages and they don't tell me how wonderful I am, I'm not doing it. You do it. You're sending love. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So that's pretty much like why I decided to put it into the book, because I realized a lot of parents, especially dads, dads are responding, fathers are responding really well to this. Men are, because a lot of them grew up in a world where their wives are the nurturer. They're not the nurturer. They're not, that wasn't how they communicate. They don't communicate. They don't know how to share those feelings, those emotions. I think the younger generation of fathers probably are better at it. But there's a whole big landscape of men out there that are like, I love my children. I want to figure out a way to get closer to them. But how do I do that? And how do I write a message? So I'm like, here's a book of messages, basically. It's like text poetry. Take one, tweak it, make it your own, or just use it. It's fine. Everything is, just make sure, I say, when you put a quote in there, that you put the person's name who said the quote. You want to make sure you're attributing, even in a text, correctly.
yeah.
But that's what happened. That's why I said, let me put this into a book. It's like a tool. It's a guidebook. It's not overly developed. I don't get into a whole why you should do this, what it's about. There's an introduction that I wrote why I started. But here, I'm giving it to you. You can start. You have enough messages in there to last the first 2 years for sure. But you'll find, and I'm telling you this, Lois, once you start, it comes. It's a new habit. It's like anything else. Once you start getting into it, it comes. And we both said this. You open yourself up, God'll give you what to say.
Yeah.
Because you'll make it more personal to your children. You know your kids. You know what you need to say to them. You know if it's heartfelt and heart-centered. And that's was what I wanted to really get to is I started doing this because I want to share things from my heart. Your heart has everybody's heart-centered. let it out. And once that happens, those messages will start to write themselves. It's not hard, but start from someplace, and you could use the book to start.
So I find this conversation a God thing, okay? Because at the beginning of the year, I rewrote my affirmations, and one of my affirmation was mine was to, we have a family group text, and mine was to text weekly something to really communicate my love to the group. But now I can see where this is so much more personal because it would be building a specific relationship with each person in my family because all three of my kids are married. And I can see where that could help me build a better relationship with each of my daughter-in-laws as well. So I think God is using you to tell me to step it up.
Oh my God. Well, I'm really impressed that you're actually sending a message to your group. I have a group. We have a family group also with my husband, myself, and my three sons. And I don't post any messages there only because I was doing it individually, so I didn't want to repeat myself and put it up there. And then my husband read the book anyway. So listen, I just look at it like however you're comfortable doing it. Some people might say, you know what, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to message my group. I have my group set up already. It's easier for me. I'm going to do it. I'm like, do whatever helps makes you feel connected to them, or connected, or works, or you feel comfortable doing. Just start.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Just do it. My thing is you got to do it continuously.
Yeah.
Because it takes time. You know, you have to, repetitions. It does. It takes time. And what happens is that over time, not only does it get easier to do it, but also they're getting that continuous flow of energy, that continuous, love and gratitude. And those concepts are the highest frequency energies, right? So you're sending that kind of energy all the time. And that's what's going to change everything, because right now the energy level of the world is very low.
Yeah.
And we need to elevate it. And the only way we can elevate it is if we keep doing it, like we keep pushing out love and gratitude. And I have a whole chapter, like the first chapter is mindfulness and gratitude. I mean, that's important. We have to teach our kids gratitude. Not like there's a lot of entitlement. Let's talk about gratitude, thanking God and being happy with who you are, and not judging also yourself and your worth on your social media and how many followers and likes you have. Like you don't, that's superficial. Like what's real? Real is you are worthy because who you are, not because of what other people think of you, and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot we can share with our kids and really raise that whole energy level and make this world vibrate at a higher frequency. Because right now it's at a low frequency. I'm sorry, I'm saying it, and I have no problem saying it.
It's very true. All right, so giant builders, leave a message below. You would have to either leave it in the YouTube channel or on one of the social medias, and tell me what you think you would, and what would you text your children? What topic would you text them? And we're going to give a book away. So we'll just have a random drawing, and we'll give one of Tammy's books away to somebody who leaves a message.
I would love that. I would love to do that.
So any closing thoughts?
You know what? For those of you who don't have the opportunity to win the book, I hope you win. Whoever wins, also contact me with any questions you have. So I can be reached at Tammy at TC Brand Consulting. But it's even easier. Just go to my website, which is www.T as in Tom, C as in cat, brand, BRAND, consulting.com, because on there's a whole page that's about the book and how to get the book. It's on Amazon. So if you don't win the book, you can still order it on Amazon. It's available there, and you can link right there, or you can go to Amazon and just plug in text messages to my sons, Tammy J. Cohen. My tagline is connecting deeply in a world of devices. So that's what we're trying to do. That's it. connect deeply.
And Giant Builders, we'll have those links also in our media. So if you go to giantbuilders.com/media, we'll have that link in there too. So, and we'll have those links below. So yeah, that's awesome. Tammy, I am so excited that we connected. I really feel that, like I said, I feel that God had connected us because this was very inspiring for me.
Well, you know what? There's no coincidences. We're meant to be connected. I say it's from God. Whatever comes in your path is not a coincidence. And you have to be there for a reason. And you learn something. So I learned from you too. And I had to think really good questions, Lois. And I had to really go in there and pull out the answers. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. All right, Giant Builders, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.